Here's what I learned from 4 months living on a farm in country Victoria. So you've clicked the video, you're watching the video. You want to know what have I been doing since I've left Newcastle? Well, I got here in Warrnambool, in the Warrnambool area, about middle of November, and a bit of a long story. Long story short, but I'm on a farm with Marshall and Joan. Marshall is a friend of Dad's. They lived together in Sydney in the 80s and kept in contact. So anyway, he was like, all right, well, when you get down there, make sure you get down to the farm there and stay there. So came down here, me and Dad came from Melbourne, and because Dad flew in to see me, and came straight here, and that's how it goes. And Dad stayed for about 10 days, and then we went back to Melbourne, and I've just stayed since. I've done 2 weeks in SA, and then another 3 weeks back in Newcastle. And now I've been here, and it's only a couple of weeks, well, less than a week now, till I'm on the road. Experience everything is so much different, you know. A lot of my viewers and myself, we're all from the city, most of us, like all my friends, and all the stuff I've done and experienced and whatnot. It's not very different, but it's got that farm blood in me, but it's something that you don't get. It's not eye-opening, but I think people forget that there is life outside the cities, and yeah, it's just been real good. I'll go through a few, kind of rattle off what I've been doing. But yeah, it's been good. A lot cooler down here in the southwest. I think a lot of people don't necessarily know, even when I say where I am, they don't really have an idea of where it is on the map. But it's been real nice, lovely people around. Honestly, like, I can't thank Marshall and Joan enough for what they've done for me. Allowed me to stay here and help out, and it's been real lovely. Lifelong friends, relationship with them now, been real great. So yeah, so they've got around, what do they got? They've got around 700 acres, run about 140 head of cattle, who have had calves about 5-6 months ago. Yeah, it's pretty cruisy here. It's not super full on. About 15 years ago, they used to run dairy and did that for a long time before that. So they've got a big rotary dairy here, which is real nice, but they don't do that anymore. It's pretty full on if you know how dairy works. So yeah, it's been good. It's not super full on, which is good. You know, I'm not waking up at 6 a.m. It's pretty cruisy, but the farm, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. I think people forget that. You know, you're always kind of on the clock, but you can kind of get out of it when you can. It's a 7-day a week, no real kind of weekends. It's just whatever comes. Jobs are always left, right and center. There's always something going on, fences, cattle, whatever. We've got roadworks at the moment on our road, and they've been using our land and whatnot. So there's always something going on. Pretty cool. And there's people dropping in here and there. We're going into Warrnambool and wherever, Portland, Port Fairy, all around the area, Hamilton. Marshall himself is pretty much a jack of all trades, honestly. We've been doing work on my car at the moment. We're currently doing my snorkel, but has done a lot of shearing over the years, and that's been one of the things that's come up is his portable ram shearing trailer. That's been real interesting. It's one of the first things kind of we dived into. Got a trailer, and it's got like, it's a bit hard to explain. I might do another video on that. But anyway, I'll pop some footage up of how it works, but it allows it less stress on the shearer when you're shearing the rams, because they're quite aggressive and have a lot of grunt, don't like to be held. So kind of allows them to cruise through it. It's a little bit slower, but it's a real cool process, because you just don't get that where we're from. Also had a chance to get in the shearing shed as well one afternoon for a little bit and rouse about, clear the floor and pick up the wool and help out where I can. Another thing we've been doing, he's got a big backloader, cat tractor thing. It's currently at a friend's place. down towards Warrnambool, and we've been taking out these cypress trees and the logs trunk. We spent a morning in the rain actually clearing them, but it's still over there, and we've gone back there a couple of times. Yeah, there's still some real big ones to get rid of, but we don't have the capability with the machinery we have. That's just another little thing we've been doing. So a lot of like odd jobs. One of the biggest jobs we had was when I got back from SA just into the new year, was the hay. You know, it was a bit late to be doing it, but because it'd been so wet when we got here. Honestly, when I first got here, we were driving through the paddocks and there was just water up to the wheels. It was so wet. The winter really just lasted all the way till the end of spring. There wasn't really no spring. There was really no summer. It was a bit of a mix of summer and spring. But yeah, we got into the hay. They'd already cut most of the paddocks by the time I got back, but ran into some trouble. We cut the cutter, bent the whole shaft. Anyway, that was a whole nother story. What you do is you cut the paddock, leave it for a couple of days, and then you rake over the lines that you've cut, and you make windrows, dragging a rake that runs behind the tractor, and it kind of pushes it over to the other side. So you can put one on top of the other, or you can put one on top and then the other, you come back and do it the other side. So you're making a bigger windrow for the baler to go through. So I hadn't really driven a tractor before, not like in terms of that. So I was left on my own to do a few of the paddocks around, which was real good, just listening to Triple J. Ran into a couple little troubles, like a jackknifed it once or twice and couldn't work out the controls, but we got there in the end. But then we got to baling. So 30-year-old hay baler was giving us grief after grief. There was just so many different troubles. Anyway, we got each one fixed, sorted, and then it just wasn't. Rounds off the bales with a rope, a string wasn't cutting, and we had to sort that out, and then it just wasn't cooperating with us. Anyway, a few late nights getting it sorted, and eventually we got it all done, plodding along, a few little problems. It wasn't real smooth sailing the whole way through. But we did get it done in the end. That was just before I went back to Newcastle, but we did get it all done, and that was really interesting, tinkering with the big old machine. You know, it's like 30-year-old, just had so many little problems, and it never really did, Marsh said, until this year. That sorted in there, and that was real good to do the hay for sure. Bit of experience. And then I spent 3 weeks back in Newcastle, and we've kind of just been we did a lot of fencing when I got back. We were gonna heat or electrify a top row of a fence. Our bulls were getting over the fence. Anyway, we moved the bulls into the cattle yard here for a couple of weeks while we mended this fence. And we kind of put conduit or plastic sort of tubing between each of the posts to keep it insulated. Anyway, we ended up getting that sorted, and then we moved on we made this triangle paddock we have out the front towards the main road, and we electrified the whole way with these fiberglass pegs, and the wire sits on the pegs and you run it around. So we put the 3 bulls in that paddock, and that was a big job. Getting all that, couple of big days doing those, and that was really interesting to do the wiring, running it all around and doing all the pegs and drilling them in and hammering it also. And that was a priority when I got back. So we've kind of got them in, and then we've been able to bring the cattle in. I don't know how long the period is, but you kind of give the calves like a few months, maybe there's about 6 months. So you bring them in and tag their ears, pierce their ears, and then or mark their ears, whatever you want to call it. You vaccinate them with, I can't remember what we're vaccinating with, but I'll put it up. And then you tag them on the ears as well and let them all go. And the bulls are the males are a bit of a tough one you've got to hold the tails and make sure they're not moving, but they're a bit of a struggle when you get them in the race. So that's been real interesting to do that. We've done half. I'm going to do the other half maybe end. I'm not sure. Which I haven't mentioned yet is that I've actually been working at a local pub nearby. Now, I didn't start straight away. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks after I got here. We were at this pub one night, and it was the closest pub nearby, and I hadn't heard about it, but I hadn't been yet. Anyway, and I was like, may as well ask if they've got any jobs. So I went in, and they're like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll be around for a few weeks. This is what I thought back then. I didn't think I'd be here this long. Anyway, got a call a couple of days later. He's like, yeah, we can put you on. And yeah, got thrown straight in the deep end. Like, I've never worked in a pub before, and it was super full on the first 2 shifts. Really like thrown in the deep end. I did okay, but it was pretty full on. I guess, you bring all the jobs I've done, put it all together, but I hadn't worked in hospitality, so I was straight on the floor. I haven't done a lot of the bar stuff. I've only dabbled with a little bit recently, but I was straight on the floor serving. Luckily, we used iPads with all the menu. It's like a POS system, so it's fairly easy to use. The first couple of nights were like fully booked out, and I was with another lady who doesn't normally work there, and it was just a bit of a shit show, but it's been good. And that pub, Union Station Hotel at Woolsthorpe, about 2 years ago they renovated it and they put a lot of money into it. It's kind of crazy how nice it is. You forget sometimes that it's not in the middle of nowhere, but it is at the same time. We're probably like 20 minutes from Warrnambool. We're about 40, but it's like a super upmarket pub. You put it in the city, yeah, it's nice. It's very much not your classic country pub. It's very upmarket and it's real nice food, real good. The people that own it are the Midfield Group, and they're a huge company in this area. They own a lot of land and farms and whatnot, and started as a meatwork, so all the meat's real good stuff. Honestly, you can't go wrong with anything there. I would recommend anyone in the area to go there. Yeah, it's been real good, you know. They've got a huge playground they built in the back of the pub. It's great for kids, families, so we've always got tourists popping through. It's kind of on the road out to places. It's not really in the middle of nowhere, but it is. So yeah, I've been dabbling with that, and I think having the contrast of being able to work with people my age, younger people, and meet all local people in the area, and then be able to come back to the farm has been real good. I think if I didn't work at the pub, I probably would have moved on by now, but it's been real good to work at the pub and then come back to the farm and dabble with everything, you know. Kind of pretty much consider myself a farmhand the past 4 months, so honestly, like, can't thank them enough for having me here and allowing me to work at the pub as well. I haven't worked a hell of a lot. There's been, you know, 1 or 2 shifts a week, but it's been real good. I've met a lot of people, and you know, everyone's quite interested in the story and like what I'm doing here. This is kind of, I don't know if I want to do this for the next stint, but I am going to travel a bit more. I'm going up to meet with my brother and his girlfriend. Can't wait to see them, and that's in the Northern Territory. So Tennant Creek is that's the next mark. And yeah, that's kind of really it. My time on the farm, it's been real great. As you've seen, I've filmed bits and pieces. I really haven't like hammered into it. It's kind of just stuff on my phone, stuff on the camera. It's just to give you a bit of an idea of what I've been doing. I haven't actually been able to make a lot of videos. I'm craving that back out camping. Luckily, I was able to have like that 2 weeks in SA and 3 weeks back home. And I'm going to Melbourne next weekend to see some of my good friends. I can't wait for that. It's been real good, you know, backpacking around essentially, you know. I'm staying on the farm, you know, I've been able to surf a little bit. That's another thing I miss. Yeah, I think people think if you need a change of scenery and you're kind of stuck in what you're doing, whatever that may be, I think you need to recommend you get out and explore our beautiful country that we have here. I know it's a hard time to go traveling, but there is a lot out there, and if you're willing to work, jobs everywhere, honestly. Anytime I talk to people, you're like, yeah, you're not gonna have trouble at all finding work. So when I head off here, gonna head through SA, see some of the family, and then straight up to Alice Springs, where I meet up with Riley and Ellen. And then I'm not too sure from there, potentially all up to Darwin. I want to get to Western Australia. Also want to keep filming and keep doing stuff. If I pull up at a spot next time, it won't be as long as this. This would, I think, a shorter period would be better. Shorter, but more work, but a full-time work, maybe like 2 months in an area that I might decide. Phenomenal, honestly, the experience I've got. I like really have only touched a bit of the things that I've done. It's been real good, you know. I think a lot of people probably don't really realize what I've been doing. I probably still don't from this video, but I've been quite thankful for Marshall and Joan, and it'll be sad to go, but I'll definitely come back through at some stage or another. And yeah, I hope that spurs you on to maybe do something that I'm doing, maybe go spend some time on a farm or go exploring the regional area, because honestly, without ag, there's not much in Australia. I think people forget that there's a lot going on, you know, outside the city. Stay tuned for another big few months, guys. The Red Centre and all that area, the top end, pretty excited. I'll miss the surf, but it's gonna be real great. See you in the next video.